Thank you for coming today. My name again is Ben. I'm the Boundless Life sales manager. So if you've dealt with any family reps, I'm the manager of that team. So if you have anything that you need to come just for my intro, I'm the manager of that team. So happy to help you guys. And I'll be co-hosting this webinar with Reka, who is Boundless Life, one of the Boundless Life co-founders and head of education. And today we're going to cover the latest developments in our Trailblazer program, specifically for our 13 and 14-year-old learners, which is a program that we started, in this current academic year, and they're wrapping up their first full year, and we're excited to see the program continue into 2025 and 2026 academic year. So this session has been designed to give updates for families who have already applied and booked for the program, but also for those of you who are considering joining. On the agenda, this is what we're going to cover today. First, I'll share an age range eligibility for the program and availability for the program for our 9-month and our 3-month programs. I will then pass it to Reka, who can share a program update and curriculum overview. And then we also have a special guest from our online learning partner, Crimson Global Academy, who can share updates about their program and their philosophy and how we can partner, how we're going to be partnering with them. And then lastly, we can talk about next steps and also take questions on how on the program and anything that has come out of the webinar that you'd like to have some further clarification on. So first, who is actually considered a Trailblazer? Those of you that have already booked are probably well aware of this, but for those of you that this may be the first time you're learning about the Trailblazer program, I just wanted to throw this up here. Again, it's generally for the children that are in the 13 to 14 year age range, and we do have slight flexibility on the ages based on the date of birth listed on this slide. So if they're at the end of 12 aging into 13 and they're starting a 9-month journey, they could be eligible. And then same thing for our 3-month cohorts. We have specific date of birth here that's helpful for you guys to take a look at, just to see if your child would be eligible for this program or if they would maybe fall down into our 10 to 12 program. Let's talk about our 9-month Trailblazer track. So this is the track that is starting in September in Syros, then La Barra, Uruguay in January, and Andalusia in Spain in April. So I wanted to give an update here because the first leg of the journey is fully booked with 20 children. That classroom is sold out, so Syros is ready to go. You may remember that we were saving a majority of our classroom spaces for the 9-month families, and the remainder of the classroom spaces would be open to those families committing only to 3 months. So the families that have submitted 9-month booking forms with the intention to go forward with a 9-month program, there are 13 children out of the 20 that are in that 13 to 14-year-old classroom in Syros, and then there are 7 children from families that are planning to do just 3 months with us. So I thought I'd share that here just to kind of level set where we are for the first location and the first cohort for this upcoming Trailblazer year. If we do a deeper dive into the 9-month track, I just wanted to share here that you can see the 13 children that with a 9-month kind of intention that had signed up for Syros on the left here. And then we also have, we've seen some delays on booking the 2nd and 3rd cohort. And there's some factors to that that I figured we could talk through briefly here, and then we can also have some Q&A at the end. One of those factors is that right in the middle of the Trailblazer launching for 2025 and 26, we launched into this brand new online booking platform, which is a great tool that's going to help families have more autonomy and book on their own, kind of peruse the cohorts that are available and the properties that are available, and in general provide a much smoother booking experience. However, it's taken some time for this program to fully roll out. We've been making lots of updates, and it's taking some families, I think, some time to familiarize themselves with the program, with the portal. So that's one area where there may be a little bit of a delay because it is a new process for our 2026 bookings and forward. The other factors that may be causing some delay is that there are some hesitations around La Barra in January, and we've been hearing that bubble up from families, and so we're happy to talk more about that, and I will touch on that on the next slide. I do want to emphasize. Let's see, I think we just had somebody else want to join, so let me just make sure. Okay, I do want to emphasize that. Oh, I lost my notes. I do want to emphasize that even if you have a 13 to 14-year-old child, there's benefits to having continuity if they do have younger siblings as well. So we're talking a lot about Trailblazers in this slide deck, but just keep in mind that if you have younger children that are also going to be joining the cohort, having a 9-month program is great for continuity for them as well, as you'll be traveling with multiple families. Okay, so for our January cohort, we've got some feedback, mainly about Labara, and being that that is the most expensive time of year to come to Labara, we hear you. And so there's been some feedback that there's limited availability of affordable homes during that high season from January to March. What we've been doing on our side is we have updated and expanded our list of local host properties, which are not managed by Boundless, but it's a partnership where we've seen the homes, we vet the homes, we feel that they're a good fit for a Boundless family. And then we help kind of facilitate the booking for that home. And then we also have a goal to source between 5 and 7 Boundless homes, specifically managed by Boundless, like what you may have expected and experienced in prior locations. We're hoping to have 5 to 7 of those homes by January. And then the alternate option is if you want to continue to go forward with a 9-month program, you could technically obtain a Greek digital nomad visa. You're starting in Syros with this 9-month track. If you obtain that visa, you could then extend into Syros into January, and then go into Andalusia in April from there. So that is another option that we've thought about that could be something that's intriguing for families looking to do the 9-month program. All right, next, I wanted to talk about April as well for Andalusia. So Andalusia is obviously, it's one of our newer locations. It has been our most popular location since we launched it in September. We already have 16 families booked for April in 2026. And our home portfolio mix there is constantly being adjusted, and we're getting feedback from families that have been on cohort as to which homes may not be the best fit, and we're constantly adjusting to make sure that we have the most affordable but also prime location homes and the best fit for our families. So that being said, when you go onto the booking portal right now and look at Andalusia, you won't see a lot of homes available. A, because 16 families have already booked, so there's a lot of homes that have already been taken. And then B, we have more homes to be added as we go through this process of gathering feedback and finding new homes. And we're also going to have quite a few partner homes, local host partner homes in Spain as well. I wanted to touch briefly on self-accommodation. So on the portal, you'll also see that self-accommodation is currently shown as unavailable. That is by design because we know that there's quite a few Trailblazer families intending on 9 months that have not yet booked Andalusia, and we wanted to make sure that those available self-accommodation spots didn't just get immediately swept up by other families not involved in Trailblazer program. So we currently purposely held some of those back. So when it comes to time to book on our portal, we still have 4 homes that are fantastic homes that are there, that are Boundless homes that are available. And like I said, we will be adding more in the coming weeks and months. But like I said, we do have some self-accommodation spots available, but we're not necessarily showing them to the greater public at this time because we wanted to make sure that the Trailblazer families with 9 months intention do have some availability to grab one of those spots. And it is subject to availability. So if you're ready to book on that and you are leaning towards the self-accommodation, make sure you reach out to your family rep. Because we will then need to essentially go into the system and add one for you to then immediately book. So it's a little bit more manual, but we'll get through it. So that's our update on Andalusia Homes. I also wanted to touch on our 3-month Trailblazer program. So we've been talking a lot about the 9-month program. However, I don't want to forget the fact that we do offer 3-month programs as well. So like I said earlier, our Syros location is the only Trailblazer location that we're holding in September, and that one is fully sold out with 20 children. However, January 2026, you can join for a 3-month only in Syros or in Labara. And then April 2026, you can join for a 3-month only in Syros, Labara, or Andalusia. And again, for the January 2026 Labara and the April 2026 Spain, those are part of the 9-month track. So again, those classrooms will be heavily weighted with spaces available for the 9-month families. So the 3-month options, those two, January, Labara, and April, Spain, the 3-month only options will be more limited in classroom spaces. And now I think I wanted to pass it over to Rekha to start talking a little bit more about the program updates and the next steps on that side.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, so to go over what the program for next year will look like, as we've mentioned before, the setup will be a hybrid model. And the goal overall is to give students that opportunity to really develop those future focused soft skills and competencies that we've talked about, but through engaging place-based experiences and projects that will hopefully spark curiosity, encourage problem solving, and lay the foundation for a true love of learning. Now, the hybrid model consists of 2 components. We can go to the next slide, Ben. 2 components. So we have Boundless Discoveries, which is half-day programming that focuses on those place-based learning experiences, but through a project-based approach that will focus on real-world learning. The other half of the day will be academic studios, which I'll go into a little more detail in the next slides. Now, just to talk about Boundless Discoveries, this is really the half-day programming that I would say makes us truly unique. So it'll be designed to immerse our students into hands-on, real-world learning experiences that also equips them with those future-ready skills we were talking about. The place-based experiences and projects will use design thinking framework and will be rooted in 3 specific pillars. So they'll be rooted in culture and heritage, nature, and economy. Now, in these place-based projects, we can go to the next slide, both soft skills and core competencies will be much more quantified and assessed by the on-site educator to ensure that we're actually measuring growth and development in these specific areas for each student's portfolio. So soft skills, when we talk about that, that's more of the personal and social abilities that help students interact effectively with each other. They're the skills that are needed for project-based learning environments, such as self-management, perseverance, how to stick to something, collaboration, creativity, adaptability. And then the competencies are more of a broader approach, which include the skills, the knowledge, the behaviors that equip students with more real-world learning tools, such as problem solving, how to research effectively, note-taking, how to project plan and then execute on a project, public speaking, and there'll be a bigger focus on financial literacy as well. So that's pretty much the Boundless Discoveries, the half-day programming. And then the other half of the day will be the academic studio. So this, what will be included in our Boundless monthly tuition, this is kind of the biggest update for this webinar, is that online math, English, and science, the instruction of that will be delivered by Crimson Global Academy. After we did trials with many different platforms, we felt that Crimson Global Academy is what aligned best with our own personal learning goals and values. So as Ben mentioned, we're really happy to have someone from the CGA team who will be giving you guys an overview directly on the CGA program and their approach to learning. And then for those families who prefer to use their own curriculum, we have learned that, different families are coming from different countries. Many want to continue perhaps with their own curriculum from their own home country. They do have the option to opt out of Crimson, and they'll still have, their children will still have access to our academic studio at the Education Center. And in this scenario, our educator will try to support your child by keeping them on track in whatever independent learning curriculum that they are following, and will flag any concerns to parents if they feel like there's a lack of progress. So if for those families who want to opt out of Crimson and follow their own, there'll be a refund of 450 euros per month, which will be applied to a refund to your tuition, but that still allows you to use the academic studio and have the educator support. So that's kind of the overall breakdown of the program, and I'm going to pass it on now to Svetlana, who's joining us from the Crimson Global Academy, and she'll give you guys an overview about their program and what our partnership will look like.
Hey everyone. Yes, I'm Svetlana, the Chief Growth Officer here at CGA, Crimson Global Academy. And in the spirit of Boundless, I'm joining you today from Copenhagen, where I'm not usually based out of, so that's fun. I'll be talking a little bit about CGA today. I'll walk you through what we've built together with Boundless, and we're really excited to talk about that offering, but also just do a quick introduction of what CGA is, what our philosophy is, and how we've built on our online school. So CGA is an internationally accredited online high school. We offer US curriculum, so USDP, US High School Diploma, and an A-levels pathway through so the British curriculum pathway. We're a fully online school, and we're an online-only school. So we've been built as an online school, and this year we are celebrating our 5th anniversary. So we've been doing this for quite a while. We are registered in New Zealand, but we're also registered in Florida in the United States. And right now we are the top 3 online schools in the United States, ranked by niche. We've also been ranked by a bunch of other companies as well, but I think the most important thing that you need to know about CGA is that we are fully accredited. So we are part of the FASC accreditation. That means that you can be confident that our quality of education is actually quite strong, but also that we meet the requirements of any other school you might want to transfer to once you've completed your program with Boundless. We offer advanced placement courses, but we also offer standard US diploma courses, and as I mentioned, A-levels, so that British pathway as well. When we're talking about Boundless specifically, though, we will be talking about the US diploma program, because we feel like that would be a much better fit for students that are traveling around the globe and studying at the same time. But before we dive into the program, I'll walk you through what some of the results and some of the introductions of our school. So this is a slide that I actually absolutely love sharing. This is the university admissions results by the numbers for this year. Every single year we do this, and it's really exciting to share. This year we had more than 160 students graduate from CGA, and they've been ranking up a lot of different offers from different universities across the globe. So more than 40 of our full-time students applied to US universities, and they've all received offers so far, with more than 28 acceptances to top 50 universities. We actually had just recently, and it's not on the slides, learned that one of our students got accepted into Harvard, which we were really excited about. And we had 18 students get accepted into Russell Group universities, and about 30 of our full-time students were applying to the UK universities, so that's actually a really good result. On the next couple of slides, I'll walk you through some of the results that we've had this year. I think it's just important to share, just so you have an idea that we are geared towards making sure that your kids have continuity, they have a plan, and they understand that, you know, there's a goal after they graduate from school. So on the slide here, you'll see this year we've had students accepted into Northwestern, Cornell, UCLA, UC Berkeley, and other top 50 US universities. Also schools like NYU, different UCs, Georgia Tech. So incredible results in the US. And then on the next slide, you'll see our results in the UK. We had 2 Cambridge and 1 Oxford offer, which is incredible. 3 Oxford offers from 1 school with such a tiny set of students is actually pretty cool. We're really excited about that. 3 offers from King's, 4 offers from Edinburgh. So pretty strong results from the UK as well. I think it's very important for us to walk through our philosophy, so how we actually approach education here at CGA. So one of the key pillars within our education system is competency is much more important to us than age. So all of our students go through diagnostic testing, special admissions testing that we perform before we place them into classes. This is important to us because we want to make sure that everyone is doing something that they're really interested in. Very often we start our conversations with students that are quite disengaged in school, and then we find that this happens because they're either bored and things are too easy for them, or the opposite. things are too hard and they're not able to catch up. So we start with all of our processes always start with admissions testing. For Boundless, specifically because we are building a program that is special to students that are joining the Boundless program, we're going to do an in-depth diagnostic test on English ability, math ability, and science ability to make sure that we're building groups that are specific to students by level. What that means is that we're very likely going to have 2 separate math classes for the Trailblazer group, Trailblazer group, to make sure that we're able to match all of your mathematical ability. And then depending on how what kind of performance we see on science testing and English testing, we might have to split the group into separate groups as well. There's also an opportunity for students that have exceptional results on diagnostic testing to be joining our existing group classes, but we can talk about that separately depending on, again, the result of the diagnostic testing. So any one of you that decides to proceed with CGA as your academic support option for your Boundless program will have to go through the testing process together. We'll have to go through the testing process with your child. Another important aspect of our program is that all of our classes are live. So we do all of our teaching live at CGA. It's an important factor for us. We believe that that's the only way to maximize engagement. And another element that's very important to us is that we don't only work on academics within CGA. We believe that outside experiences for students are also very important, and they should be part of their academic plan and their academic education. You'll see how that was factored in as we were building out the program specifically for Boundless. And we focus a lot on long-term planning. So today you'll hear me talk a lot about credits, about the ability to transfer to other schools, the ability to progress after you've finished with CGA. That is because it's very important to us to make sure that every single student has a post-school pathway. They understand what they want to be doing, be that college, be that switching to a different school, or something entirely different. We want to make sure that you as a parent understand what are the pathways that are available to your child, but also that we are supporting you through all of those pathways. On this slide that we're looking at right now, you see an example of what a standard CGA class looks like. Our classrooms are very small, so we typically have on average 8 to 10 students per class. Right now, we kept our classes at 15 students, so none of our classes are larger than 15 students. And we try, and our biggest goal is to foster positive teacher-student relationships. It's incredibly important to us, and that's something that I've seen since joining CGA, that there's that mutual respect between teacher and student, and we really want to continue fostering that as well. That's why a lot of our work in admissions is making sure that we're selecting the correct families as well. But we know with Boundless, we know that all of your kids are exceptional, and we're going to have a really good time building those relationships with teachers as well. Our lessons are very interactive. So as you can see here, everything's done on this virtual board. The teacher always has access to what's happening on the students' laptops. We have an idea of what's actually happening during class. And it's a variety of different teaching techniques, from flipped learning, so like a flipped classroom type of experience, to quizzes, Socratic questioning, a lot of different models of learning. And with Boundless specifically, because we're going to have a lot of deep understanding of your students' academic standing currently, once we do the diagnostic testing, we'll make sure that our teachers are building out the program based off of the specific information that we have about each child. And because we are building the program specifically for you, we're going to be able to make sure that we're making it as engaging as possible for all of your kids. So let's actually talk about what that will look like. So what is it that we're building out specifically for Boundless? Specifically for Boundless, we're going to be doing 3 classes: English, math, and science. But we're also going to be offering one more credit, and that is a social studies credit for the offline activities that you're doing with Boundless. Reka has just touched on all of the incredible stuff that they have planned for you in terms of soft skills development, a core competency development. And we actually believe that this is a pretty strong equivalent to what a good social studies course should be doing. So we're going to be able to recognize that social studies aspect as 1 credit. So as you are transferring back into a school, if you are completing the full nine-month program, you will have 4 credits as you graduate with English, math, science, and social studies. The classes are going to be fully live, but to match your fast pace, we're looking at 25-week school year with 2 hours per class of live class per subject per week. So we're looking at 6 hours of live teaching per week for 25 weeks. Keep this in mind because this means that we'll have to see a little bit more independent work and a little bit more homework from your students than from a typical program. So what we're going to see is about 3 to 4 hours of homework per subject per week, but we will get to that level gradually. Because we understand that some of your kids might not have been used to doing this amount of academic work. We also understand that you have a very busy and very exciting life in wherever place you're going to end up in. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're getting gradually to that amount of work, and we're covering all of the content that needs to be covered, again, for them to be able to complete the English, math, science credits. We're going to run these classes in very small groups. So 5 students is the minimum, but we're not likely to see more than 12 students in a group. And the program will travel with you. We'll make sure that we're accommodating to your timetable, to your, as you're moving around the globe this year, we'll make sure that the classes are moving with you. So we're accommodating all of your travel within the Boundless program. If you are joining for the 3-month program, we also really want to make sure that we're able to give you some form of academic credit. As I mentioned, that continuity and post-school pathways are incredibly important to us. So we want to make sure that you are able to use CGA's program as you are transitioning back to your school or transitioning to another school, or maybe deciding to join CGA full-time. We want to make sure that you actually have something that you are able to use for that process. That's why for the 3-month program, we're going to be able to offer half credit. So we'll be able to offer half credit for each class that you complete with us. So that means that for students that are going to do 3 months, they'll be able to get 2 credits out of this. The course is going to be structured in a way that you're going to get 7 weeks live, and then for us to be able to make sure that you complete all of your required topics, you complete all of your additional, you complete everything that needs to happen for you to receive that half credit course, half credit for the course. You will then do 4 weeks of additional work asynchronously. So that will be recordings plus homework that will be graded by our teachers. Our teachers will still be available for office hours. So if students need, students can always request an office hour, a meeting with a teacher, even if they're working asynchronously. But for us to be able to give you that credit, we need you to complete that. We need you to complete that additional work. So this is the program that we've structurally built specifically for Boundless. On the next slide, I'll walk you through what that means compared to our standard full-time load. I'm doing this because I know that quite a few of you have already spoken to us about our full-time programs, so you have an idea of what we usually do, what we typically do in our classrooms, but also because I want to show you that there are other options if you're interested in exploring more subjects with your child as well. So with Boundless, we've built out a program that includes 3 subjects taught through CGA and a 4th social studies credit. Our typical students at CGA, full-time students, take 5 to 6 subjects within the US diploma program. Most of them take 6 credits, but we do have students that are taking fewer. We do have students that are taking 4, but typically they do take 6. Our class time is also a little bit higher within our full-time model. So we usually do 28 weeks of class time within US diploma program with 3 to 4 weeks of 3 to 4 hours a week of school, like actual live class. But you shouldn't be worried about that in terms of covering all of the content. Again, we've done classes in shorter periods of time. That means that we'll have a little bit more independent work, but also we will be able to build the class curriculum based off of what we see on the diagnostic testing for your kids. So we'll make sure that we're able to cover all of the necessary content within this time frame as well. Our typical full-time class size is 8 to 12 students. With Boundless, it'll be closer to 5 to 12. So smaller classroom will also allow us to make sure that we're covering everything. The biggest difference, I think, that you need to be aware of is that full-time students at CGA are also eligible to take classes one-on-one, so they don't only necessarily study in group setting. With Boundless, with the educational credit you're getting with the program, your students will be studying in a group setting, so they will be studying together. The one-on-one option is an option that's very popular with our traveling families, so you can keep that in mind. So if you do have younger kids that you're trying to find a good curriculum for, we are able to offer alternative curriculums for them as well. So within our full-time school, we work with kids as young as 8 years old. Our full-time students start with us at 9, and then we have a curriculum all the way through high school. And especially if you're interested in an alternative curriculum to U.S. diploma, and A-levels curriculum, for example, we're able to help with that through full-time. So the reason I'm highlighting these differences, again, I know that quite a few have already spoken to us about the program, and I'm seeing a few familiar faces on the call as well. I want to make sure that you understand that the programs are different, but we're absolutely confident that we're going to be able to provide very strong academic basis for your kids over the program that we've built, mainly because we want to make sure that you're able to balance this out together with the travel and the activity that you have in the place where you're going to be, but also because we think that we'll just be able to build a program that's specifically tailor-made to your students, which will make it possible to make sure that we have really strong academic results. In terms of next steps, if you do choose CGA as your academic provider for the Boundless program for the next 9 months or the 3 months, whatever program you decide to join, we will need to perform diagnostic testing, as I've mentioned. So the easiest way to do it is to schedule a quick discovery meeting with us. I've left the link here, but we'll follow up with more information. So you can use that information and use the link to, I'll send it in a chat in a second, to book in a time with us to go through CGA offering in more detail. And we'll walk you through what's that going to look like. I can show you what the classroom looks like, just so you have a really good understanding of what CGA is. We'll assign diagnostic testing to your kids. And then once we get the diagnostics back and you're confirmed as your placement in the Boundless program, we can confirm your enrollment for CGA as well after we complete some forms. So that's the next steps with CGA. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about CGA afterwards as well. And as always, feel free to reach out to me. I'll send the link and my personal email in the chat right now so you can reach out.
Thank you so much, Svetlana. That was super duper informative. Appreciate you taking the time to walk us through that and show the differences between the standard program and what we'll have offering for Boundless. We're going to go through some excuse me, some next steps now. These are pretty straightforward, but I just figured we would touch on them again really briefly before we open it up to some questions. So if you're a 9-month family who's already booked CIROS in September, again, we'd love for you if you could confirm your 9-month intentions and book January and April on the new portal by May 7th. I know, like we talked about earlier, there's some hesitations. There's some property nuances with Andalusia as well for April. So just please reach out to your family rep or myself, and we can help guide you through that. And then if you are a family that is already admitted, has gone through the application process, and you're interested in moving forward, again, reach out to your family rep on the next steps to check availability and next steps for booking. And if you're a family who has not applied yet, but are interested in applying, we have our application process, and there's an application form and a student video to fill out. And again, you can reach out to your family rep. That's, I guess, the premise of this slide is we're here to help you. So, all right. I guess we will open it up to feedback and questions. So I'll go ahead and answer the very first one I saw here from Jennifer in the comments, and then feel free to add in the comments or raise your hand or just chime in. There's not a huge group of us here online, so we can probably do it that way. But Jennifer, I saw that you had a question on, is there a place where we can see accommodation reviews from previous Boundless families? At the moment, no, but that is something that we are hoping to get forward, get to with this new booking platform. So we have a whole roadmap of quarterly updates. We're making improvements on this booking platform. So it's going to be very robust at some point in time. And when you scroll through properties on the platform, you will be able to eventually, that's the goal, see some reviews from families that have stayed in that property in the past. Like I said, sometimes we are doing property and real estate shifts. If there's a home that's just maybe not living up to our standards and we have to cut it out of the portfolio and add new ones. So that kind of turnover sometimes does happen, which could then make kind of reviews would be a little bit of a moot point there. But though we do have properties that are long-standing properties, we have long-term leases with them and then families love them. So at the moment, we don't have anything for that, but it is in the plans to have that functionality to help you guys out. I could see, I mean, it's really kind of going on Airbnb. Like that's the goal, is to be able to see feedback real time. What did families love? What did they not? So that's our goal. Let me see. Jeff, how many 3-month families do you have booked for Spain in April and June? Let's see, to be clear, is that the only possible travel location for that time period? No, so 3-month families only, and we don't have too many yet. So we do have spaces available for that. Right now the focus has been primarily for the 9-month families to make sure they can kind of get through the process. But that's why I did want to highlight that, because there are going to be, assuming that all 13 of the children that had 9-month intention do book all the way through and book Andalusia in April, that would then leave 7 spots left for 3-month only families. And at this point in time, I don't know if we have any 3-month only for April. So hopefully that helps answer your question. To be clear, is that the only possible Trailblazer location for that time period in 2026? No. So in April, if you're looking at 3-month only, in April you could do Styros, Greece, you could do Labara, Uruguay, or you could do Andalusia as a 3-month family. So basically in April, as a 3-month family, you have all 3 options.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see, Erica, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
My question is really kind of for Svetlana. I already did a one-on-one with someone from Crimson Global a couple months ago. I was just wondering, do I need to sign up for another discovery call?
Would you mind just sending me a quick message and I'll find your records and I'll see whether we have all of the diagnostic we need for you.
Okay, I know my daughter hasn't done testing yet, but
okay, so that's fine. Then if you send me an email, I'll be able to assign testing to you straight away, and we won't need to do the meeting. That's totally fine.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions that we can answer here live?
Hey, Ben, just one more. Do you have for January to March, is Andalusia an option for a 3-month as well?
In January, no.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me scroll back really quick and see. I believe
Spain for Trailblazers will only open in the April cohort.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
So basically,
okay, got it.
Yeah, how it works is kind of like once the location has opened for Trailblazers, it essentially stays open through the 9 months. So like Syros starts, the Syros is then available in January and April, and then Labara starts in January, so that's also then available in April. But Spain is the first time it's coming into the program for Trailblazers, will be for April. Yep.
Great. And just quickly, we'll have a 10-year-old also, and so any considerations for any of these locations for the accompanying sibling? Anything we should, I know we were on other information calls, but anything you'd add in this context?
Yeah, just good to know that wherever there is a Trailblazer class, there will always be classes for all the younger students. So there's limited Trailblazer classes in different locations, but as long as there is a Trailblazer class, there will always be a 10 to 12 in all the classes that are younger. So never have to worry about a younger sibling. They could go right into one of the other classrooms.
And all of their education would be in classroom, not associated or affiliated with their homeschool, but the local Boundless curriculum, right?
Yeah, they would be following the Pathfinders curriculum, which is in person, like taught by the educator for that class.
Great.
Correct.
Thank
So
you so much.
it's not a hybrid model for
Okay.
the younger kids. Yeah.
Good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Scott, I think you were next with your hand raised.
It was actually me. Hi, guys. I have a question actually for Svetlana. I just want to get your opinion on younger children in the program who maybe aren't used to online learning or don't have haven't spent a lot of time with online learning, and how you've noticed they adapted to having a very heavy online for their core subjects. So just feedback there.
We've had a lot of success with younger students, which I'll be honest with you, I was quite skeptical about at first myself as well when we first launched our primary offering. But we've actually had a lot of success because we always assume that there's something going on outside of online learning as well. And that's part of our philosophy. We always encourage students to do something offline. There's always some form of offline activity. And especially with Boundless, you'll have a lot of additional offline support with all of the different activities that are happening on the personal development side. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about too much online going in straight away. I do agree that straight away jumping in with all the core subjects might be a little bit terrifying, but we've seen really great transitions for traveling families because they actually are enjoying the class. Our primary offering is very interactive, so it's very fun for kids. We try to do a lot of play within the class. It's all very fun and interactive, and I think that's really helpful for kids to actually get used to the online learning aspect. But you can always also just give it a shot. If you want to, you can shoot me an email and we can figure out if we can put you into one of our trial classes, and you can see if if that works for you, if you actually enjoy that type of learning with your kid. We typically ask the kids to be there, but you can also obviously watch what's happening in that process as well. So we'd be happy to do that. I'll put you into a trial class and you can see whether your kid actually enjoys that type of interaction.
That would be so great. Thank you so much. And it's good to hear that you guys are recognize that it might be difficult for some kids. And there's that adaptation period that you could do. One more question I have about the 3-month track. I know, well, this might be combo for Ben too. You said that there was the option of doing Ceros back to back. So what would that look like from a class perspective? Because I'm assuming that when you join the class, you would then be put in with the other students within your cohort there. And then if you weren't continuing on the 9-month track, but you were continuing maybe in another location, how would that work in regards to class timing? Because you're in different time zones and things like that.
Yep. We'll be working out your class schedules on a one-on-one basis in that situation. So obviously, we're building out the schedule with the majority of students where they're going to be moving, but we have lots of different options of either adding you to an existing class because we have classes running in the same time zone. So we could add you to an existing class, or we could find options for you of moving more async. So some of the classes you'll be watching the recordings of and then doing homework, which I would not recommend for younger kids, but for older kids works just fine. For younger kids, this isn't part of the program anyway, so we'll be building out a timetable specifically for you, and we'll try to make sure that we accommodate as much of your travel as possible. So yes, you will likely not be able to continue with the same group as you started with because they will be moving to a different time zone, but we will find a solution for you, so you will not be left behind without schooling.
Okay,
And
great.
and just to add to that, one thing that we're trialing out as well with my son actually, his idea. He was like, well, instead of doing the online class during academic studio hours, can I not do the online class at home after hours, at home, and then when I'm in the academic studios, I can do all of my homework with the help of the educator. So kind of a flipped classroom scenario. And I thought, hey, that's actually a great idea, So I think each family will also find a rhythm that works best for their families. The class will be offered during academic studio hours, but if you're shifting time zones or you're plugging out of Boundless and you're going back home, but you want to still continue with that existing kind of core class that started, I personally don't see a problem with kids, doing the online class, let's say at nighttime, and then using the academic studio hours to do all of their homework and work alongside their peers and with the support of the educator. So there's also that option. And then just to add to that, even in terms of like prepping students for the academic studios, that's why we're going to have this major push towards competencies and soft skills, right? So how during Boundless Discoveries, our curriculum team is building in right now for September, how can we build in skills so that kids are able to do this transition and are able to be more independent when it comes to their online learning, because those are all skills that you need to learn, right? All of us need to learn how to manage our time, how to project manage, how to execute in a way that we meet our deadlines, in a week. So that will be built into the project-based learning so that they're learning that as an assessed skill that they're hoping to develop as they join the program. So I just kind of want to add that in as well.
Thank you. I love that. I love the flexibility of it too. So that's really great. Thank you.
No problem.
I know we're kind of at time, but I'm happy to answer a few more. So Michelle, I think you were next. Oh, maybe she just.
No, I'm here.
There you
I'm
are.
here. Hi, Rika, my dear, and Ben, I love you. But my question is for Svetlana. Svetlana, my children have done AOPS, or the art of problem solving, and that, which sounds like it's a very similar kind of education delivery platform. But I know that with AOPS, there was a lot of, you had spoken about the asynchronous work outside of the classroom with there were workbooks, there's like a computer game that they play. Does the Crimson Global, with this homework, are there take-home supplies that are needed? Are those provided? Or is that something that we need to kind of calculate in with cost or with accessibility, with like having a laptop there ready for them to play an online game? What other classroom structures are needed for that Crimson Global?
Yeah, we will definitely absolutely need some form of internet connection. So the homework is interactive, and it needs to be submitted online. So we would need some form of internet connection. As we're structuring out the program, I believe we'll be able to provide all of the materials ourselves. So I don't think that's going to be an additional cost. All of our online platforms, that's entirely covered by us. So that wouldn't be a problem. The classes are quite interactive. The homework is quite interactive. There's some element that is done offline and then uploaded online as well. But for that age group, there's going to be a lot of like quizzes, games that are played online on the platform.
Okay, thank you very much. So I don't know if you knew that the program, the art of problem solving, or AOPS. Yeah. So thank you so much for your help. Thank you for all your time.
Absolutely.
All right, Erica, I think you're the last hand up.
Yes, just have one more question kind of about technology. So it's sort of playing off Michelle's question, but I was just wondering if there was a specific, if there's any technology requirements, I guess, as far as like what type, a laptop, any particular programs, like, or a MacBook, or, an iPad, will that work? Just wondering if there's specific technology needs.
So we do recommend a laptop. We don't recommend an iPad style tablet. We do recommend having a tablet that you can use for writing. We have a list that we recommend, but that's fine. Like, it can be an alternative. And I'm pretty sure you can use an iPad for that specifically, just to be able to write with a pen on like an electronic paper type of experience. But we have a list of the recommended supplies for that. So that's totally fine. In terms of software, we'll give you access to everything that's going to be necessary. So all of our kids are within the Microsoft, they're in the Microsoft space, whatever that's called. Sorry, that was really tough. And that so they'll have access to all of the different software they'll potentially need within that. And if they don't, we'll figure out a solution for them. There's some element for science specifically of practicals where we might need additional software, but again, that's not like you shouldn't worry about this at all. We'll make sure that you have everything.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. I don't think I see any other questions in the chat. If anybody else has anything to ask quickly, if not, we'll end the call, and we will have this recording go out and the deck go out to all of you after the call within the next day or two. But if you have any questions again regarding booking through the 9-month process or 3-month process, please do reach out to your family rep. If you don't know who your family rep is, or if you've had Elodie in the past, with her being on maternity leave, a majority of the families that Elodie was supporting have now gone to Scott, who is on the call. Hi, Scott. But if you need any help, please feel free to reach out to me, and I can guide you to your new rep and just make sure you're feeling supported that way. So.
Thanks everyone for joining the call. Just a big thank you to Svetlana as well for sharing her time with all of our families here. We really appreciate it. And we're excited about this partnership. I hope you guys are too. Crimson has been really flexible with us, and it's taken us a while. I apologize. Thank you, I guess, in advance for your patience. We just wanted to make sure that we were able to find a solution, that meets our needs. We have a very unique program, and I think we're on the right path towards something that will work for our family. So, just a big thank you to everyone for your patience, and thanks, Svetlana, for joining us.
All right,
And you did great on your first webinar. Yeah, we appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great rest of your
Bye-bye.
day, everyone. Take care.